you just gonna let it come naturally?
I'm gonna let it come naturally. You know, again, with a power puncher, you can't just force things. You can run into a good shot.
Ryan Garcia's return isn't just another fight, it's a war for redemption. After a year-long suspension from boxing, Garcia is stepping back into the ring with everything to prove. His opponent, Rolando Romero, isn't just another challenger. This fight is deeply personal, fueled by years of trash talk, bad blood, and heated exchanges. Garcia and Romero are about to settle their score in one of the most anticipated boxing matches of 2025. The stakes couldn't be higher. This isn't just about a win or loss for Garcia. It's about reclaiming his reputation after a suspension that cast a long shadow over his entire career. For Romero, it's about staying relevant in a division filled with elite talent. And to make things even more intriguing, this fight sets the stage for a potential rematch between Garcia and Devin Haney, a fight that could shake the boxing world to its core. Let's dive into the drama, the history, and the high stakes of Garcia versus Romero. The rivalry between Garcia and Romero didn't develop overnight. It has been building for nearly a decade. The tension between them began 8 years ago when they sparred for the first time. Even back then, both fighters were known for their aggressive styles, and their sparring sessions were anything but friendly. The gloves may have been on, but the animosity was real. Since then, both fighters have made names for themselves, not only with their boxing skills, but also with their trash talk. Garcia, with his massive social media following, has never been shy about calling out his rivals. Meanwhile, Romero has built a reputation as one of the most brash and outspoken fighters in the division. He's never met a microphone he didn't like and is always ready with a comeback when someone questions his abilities. Their rivalry has only intensified as they've risen through the ranks. They've exchanged verbal jabs online and in interviews, each fighter constantly trying to one-up the other. But it wasn't just talk. These two genuinely don't like each other. Every time they've been in the same room, the tension has been palpable. And now, after years of buildup, they'll finally settle it in the ring. For Garcia, this fight isn't just another chapter in his career. It's the start of his redemption arc. His fall from grace was swift and brutal. Just 2 years ago, he was on top of the world. He was set to face Devin Haney in what was supposed to be one of the biggest fights in boxing history, but a suspension derailed those plans. Now Garcia is determined to prove he can still be the fighter he once was and to silence his critics once and for all. This is more than just a comeback for Garcia. It's a chance to rewrite the narrative of his career. His defining moment came when he dropped Haney 3 times in their fight, something few people have ever done. Despite his impressive performance, the victory was overshadowed by controversy. After the fight, Garcia tested positive for a banned substance, which led to a 1-year suspension. That suspension turned Garcia's life upside down. He went from being the golden boy of boxing to a pariah almost overnight. The backlash was fierce, and it wasn't just about the failed test. Rumors swirled about Garcia's personal life, his struggles with mental health, his issues with weight, cutting, and his wild behavior outside the ring. Garcia himself admitted that he had lost focus during that time. The pressures of fame, combined with the demands of being a professional athlete, had taken a toll on him. The 1-year suspension gave him time to reflect, regroup, and refocus. He promised his fans and critics that this version of Ryan Garcia would be different. He's more disciplined, more focused, and more determined than ever to prove that he belongs at the top of the sport. This fight against Romero is his first step toward redemption. Winning isn't just about getting his hand raised. It's about erasing the stain on his legacy and showing the world that he's back, for real this time. But it won't be easy. Romero is no pushover, and he has his own point to prove. While Garcia's redemption story has grabbed the headlines, Romero has his own narrative. He may not be coming off a suspension, but he's been fighting for respect ever since he won his title in 2023. Romero's victory over Barroso was controversial, to say the least. Many believe the fight was stopped too early, and Romero didn't exactly silence his critics with that performance. Earning praise for his victory over Barroso, Romero was met with skepticism, as many critics remained unconvinced. The doubts about him only grew when he faced Isaac Cruz in his next fight. Cruz, known for his knockout power, brutally stopped Romero in the 6th round, handing him one of the most devastating losses of his career. That loss sent Romero into a tailspin, and his comeback fight did little to restore his credibility. He fought an unranked opponent in what was supposed to be a tune-up fight, but the performance failed to impress the fans. Romero may have won, but the way he fought raised more questions than it answered. Now, Romero is desperate for a statement win. Beating Garcia would do more than just add another victory to his record. It would solidify his place among the elite fighters in the division. Romero knows that if he loses this fight, he risks fading into obscurity. The stakes are just as high for him as they are for Garcia. While Garcia and Romero are the main event, there's an even bigger picture at play. Devin Haney, the reigning champion, is fighting on the same card against Jose Ramirez. If both Haney and Garcia win their respective fights, the stage will be set for a massive rematch between the two later this year. Their first fight was one of the most talked about bouts of the past decade, and the rematch promises to be even bigger. There's already talk of the fight possibly taking place in Saudi Arabia, with a massive payday on the line for both fighters. However, before any of that can happen, Garcia has to get past Romero. If he loses, the rematch with Haney is off the table, and Garcia's path to redemption hits a major roadblock. But it's not just Haney who's waiting in the wings. Gervonta "Tank" Davis, one of the most dangerous fighters in the division, is also eyeing the winner of Haney versus Garcia. A victory in that fight could set up a showdown with Tank, a potential blockbuster event in the world of boxing. But once again, for any of this to happen, Garcia needs to win on May 25th. As if the fight itself wasn't enough, the trash talk leading up to this bout has been relentless. Garcia hasn't held back, calling Romero dog food in a scathing post on X. He's also taken shots at Romero's past performances, accusing him of being overrated and suggesting that Romero only got this fight because there was no one else left for Garcia to face. Romero, never one to back down from a verbal sparring match, has fired back with his own insults. He's called Garcia a media product, claiming that Garcia's success is more about the hype than the talent. With tensions running high both inside and outside the ring, the stage is set for an explosive showdown that promises fireworks, and the future of both fighters hangs in the balance. Success in boxing isn't just about skills inside the ring anymore, it's about building a brand. And in many ways, Garcia's success has been more about his social media following than his actual boxing abilities. Yet, Romero has been quick to question Garcia's mental toughness, especially after his year-long suspension. Romero believes that the extended break may have taken away some of Garcia's edge, both physically and mentally. As the fight draws near, the press conferences have been intense, with both fighters trading verbal jabs and throwing insults at one another. However, as soon as the bell rings, all of that talk will fade away, and the true test of mental and physical fortitude begins. The fighters will have to back up all their trash talk with real action. So, who holds the edge in this high-stakes matchup? Let's break it down. Garcia has earned a reputation for his lightning-fast hands, especially his devastating left hook, which he delivers with speed and precision. His hand speed is one of his greatest assets, and it could be a real problem for Romero if Garcia can maintain that pace. Alongside his speed, Garcia has developed enough power to hurt any fighter in the division, especially if he catches them clean with one of his punches. His footwork has improved significantly since his suspension, and he's become more defensively responsible, which could make it harder for Romero to land clean shots. On the flip side, Romero is a knockout artist. Boasting an impressive 81% knockout ratio, he's proven time and time again that he can end a fight with a single punch. Romero's aggressive, all-out style makes him dangerous in the ring, but it also means he can be reckless. His aggressive approach sometimes leaves him open to counterattacks, and this could be an opportunity for Garcia to capitalize if Romero gets too wild with his punches. Garcia's counter-punching ability could exploit any openings left by Romero's ferocity. However, Garcia's year of inactivity raises significant questions. The biggest concern is whether he'll be able to withstand Romero's power after such a lengthy layoff. Inactivity has its risks, and there's always the chance that Garcia could come into the fight a bit rusty or slow to react. Romero's unpredictable nature is another key factor to consider. Unlike other boxers who stick to a conventional style, Romero often deviates from traditional boxing tactics, which can make him a nightmare to prepare for. His unorthodox style is difficult to predict and even harder to counter, but that same unpredictability could also work against him. If Romero becomes too aggressive and overcommits to his punches, he could leave himself vulnerable to Garcia. Counters. At the end of the day, this fight will come down to who can execute their game plan the best. If Garcia can remain disciplined, control the pace with his speed, and avoid getting drawn into a brawl, he has a clear path to victory. However, if Romero can turn the fight into a chaotic slugfest and land his powerful shots, Garcia could be in for a very tough night. For Garcia, a statement win would catapult him back into title contention, possibly setting up a highly anticipated rematch with Devin Haney. But a loss could tarnish his credibility and ruin any chances of redemption. Similarly, this fight is just as crucial for Romero. A win could push him to the top of the division and get him into the title picture, while a loss could knock him out of the elite ranks for good. In the end, this fight is about more than just titles or rankings. It's about legacies. Whoever comes out on top will not only prove they are among the best in the world, but will also solidify their place in boxing history. It's a do-or-die moment for both fighters. Win, and you're back in the game. Lose, and you may never reach those heights again.